This is a U.S.-China media brief produced by the UCLA Asian American Studies Center.
这些人是来自10几个地区的，所以他们通过这个传统的节日一起来包地方粽子，这样呢可以让不同的文化、不同的粽子文化在这个社区里面。
So although they all share this traditional Chinese activity doing this rice cake wrapping during this particular holiday, but each locale, each region has its own flavor, style, so we bring them together. They show both the diversities of regional or local cultures and also the commonality shared by Chinese, all Chinese people.
那么过去的老的居民都认为这些新居民来了以后呢，不仅给他们 带来了一些麻烦，同时呢也抢他们的饭碗。那么通过这样的一些活动，他们开始发现他们的文化带给了这个新的社区。他们发现，他们也有很多就是这个老的市民他们不了解的一些。
So in the past, the urban residents were not only feel discussing about the so-called uncultural side of the migrants, but also had this fear that the migrants would destroy their community harmony and take away their job opportunities. And through these kind of activities, at least urban residents began to understand the rural migrants as their fellow citizens and to identify the things they share in common.
原来的居委会对于他们提供的服务仅仅是计划生育，就是你不要让他们超生育。 那么通过这样的一些活动以后，他们开始成立了一个新居民之家，开始真正对他们提供了新的服务。
So in the past, the community residence committee, which I just briefly introduced, which basically is a grassroots level branch of the local government in nature. So that committee, when they did work with the new migrants, rural migrants, the only thing they did is birth planning, making sure they don't have excessive birth. That's the only thing they did to control these people. But through our activities, they realized there's many other things they could do. They could cultivate a more collaborative relationship with the migrants, and the migrants would gradually gain trust of the local community residents, community members as well.
那么另外一个项目呢，是利用传统的文化喝茶，因为中国人喜欢喝茶，特别是老人。那么为了让老人能够聚在一起，他们办了一个 茶庄就是社区的茶室，那么这样一个茶室可以把老人聚在了一起，让他们一起喝茶。那么同时他们在一起喝茶的时候，他们也建立了一些他们自己合作的一些秩序吧，或者说是一些制度。
Another thing, this slide shows this is another part of the community which is entirely for urban residents. And the Chinese traditional culture emphasized, especially in that part, emphasized on tea drinking. So we started with this tea room in the community service center and bring these elderlies together, starting with sharing tea time. And gradually they began to do more things together and they take more initiatives, as I will say later.
那么刚开始的时候，给他们建立这个茶室，茶室里面挂的都是政府的一些制度。 那么后来呢，他们有了自己的这样的一个空间以后，他们就把他们的结婚照，然后50年金婚照片也贴到了这里，然后开始为这个空间进行建设。
For a small example would be in the beginning when the community community residence committee did this, they still had this original bureaucratic way of doing this. Therefore, on the walls of this tea room, it will hang all over the places are governmental regulations. All the regulations, you cannot do this, you cannot do that, are political slogans. But gradually, those elderly, encouraged by us to participate, to claim the space as their own, therefore they began to bring in family photos and replacing those official political slogans and regulations with their family photos. Literally turned this space into their own.
后来到了夏天，因为太热，他们又自己出钱集体买了空调。买了空调以后，他们就要管理这个空调的使用，什么时候关机，什么时候开机，几度可以开，然后什么时候谁关门，谁抽烟不能在里抽，然后这样他们又形成了自己的一些公约， 所以真正的自己的公约、自己的制度挂在墙上。
So when the weather become hot, and they put money together, they buy an air conditioner. Once they have that installed, they begin to make up their own regulations regarding the time to turn it on, turn it off, how to maintain it. But this is totally a new set of regulations initiated by community elders themselves.
那么这个空间对于他们来说是非常重要的。他们现在已经离不开那个地方，他们从喝茶到吃中饭，然后到给他们提供吃晚饭。现在他们已经开始自己制作豆浆，向社区去卖。
So space has become so important for them. They started with tea, and then followed up by having breakfast there together, and then lunch, and then dinner. And right now, they began to have a little workshop inside the tea room to produce soybean milk and providing soybean milk to the entire community.
那么另一个空间建设呢，是社会企业家精神与赋权。这是一些下岗的、失业的，还有一些外来的一些妇女们。
So another thing we did and also emphasize in this pilot project is to promote social entrepreneurialism and through empowerment. And here you see these women in the slides are mostly people, middle-aged or older women who were laid off from state-owned enterprises or wives of rural migrants.
那么这一位妇女呢，她是一位有企业家这种能力的，就是做企业的能力的这么一位妇女。
And that lady in the middle with the red dress is what we call a social entrepreneur. She's a very capable person.
她到一些那个工厂去找到了一些活，然后再组织这些妇女一起来在这里做事。那么重要的是，过去如果没有这个合作项目，那么区委会是不会给他们这样的一些房子，让他们去一起做事的。
So that social entrepreneur went into factories to collect those jobs and bring this work back into this group, and therefore these women could use this space and turn it into a workshop. The key point here is that without this self-organization by these women, the local government would not give them the space.
The preceding copyrighted program is a property of the University of California, Los Angeles. All rights reserved. It may be used freely for educational and not-for-profit activities. For other uses or to make an inquiry, please contact the Asian American Studies Center at UCLA.